Well, springtime in Alberta is decidedly colder than Alaska, I promise you that. Okay, so first up, we've got to take a selfie. We've got to do it. Social media is so important. Let's get this set up here. Let's go up there. There you are.
Hi, Rochelle.
Sweet. So now, here's what we need to do. We all need to look perfect on social media, right? All the time, perfect. So write this down. There's a new app called Facetune. It's free. So I can go into that photo right now, and using Facetune, wipe away all the wrinkles. You don't count because you're too young. Wipe away all the wrinkles and make our teeth perfectly white, and then we can all look like her, look like Rotary actors and under the age of 30, right? It's perfect. So here's a little story, a recent story. I like to share a lot of stories. You know, like when I was a district governor in Alaska, I thought things were going great. I mean, I went to Nome and the Rotary Club of Nome, Alaska, but they gave me like 4 stars on Yelp. I was really pleased with that. And then I went down to Kodiak and, you know, I moved to Alaska from Florida, and they gave me another 4 stars on my correct Alaska, you know, the way I wore things. And I thought that was really cool. But then after that, I never heard from those people again. Yeah, they chimed in and I never heard. It was like crickets chirping. And all of a sudden, I'm like desperate for likes on Facebook. My Instagram is totally in the toilet. My Twitter's like twittering on the edge of despair somewhere. It's like, where did all these people go? Think about this. Is all of that virtual admiration really worth it? Is that what the most important thing in our life is? A lot of people think so. I'll tell you what, in today's day and age, millennials would rather take a pay cut to work for a company that they truly believe in the values of that company. In today's day and age, millennials, instead of buying houses, okay, maybe this is just in the United States, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the United States at least, millennials, instead of buying houses and cars, they're investing in real world experiences. They're choosing to invest in themselves as opposed to, say, like the stock market. Sorry, Neil, sorry, Laura. So I thought I'd go back and share a little bit of a story about me that hopefully will resonate with you in terms of a real world experience. You see, back in 1997 or 98, I was 28 years old. My husband was in the U.S. Army. We were stationed at Fort Drum in Watertown, New York, which, by the way, Watertown, New York is so small, I think smaller than Olds. Anyway, the only time you ever hear about Watertown, New York is when you turn on the Weather Channel, because normally they've gotten 3 feet of snow overnight. Now, this for me was a huge shock. It was a huge shock because we had just lived in 100 degrees Sierra Vista, Arizona. And then prior to that, we had spent 4 years in the Panama Canal Zone. So this whole notion of being up in Watertown, New York, where it may or may not snow 3 feet overnight, and I had a husband that was never home. He was spending 6 or 8 weeks out in the field with the U.S. Army, and to make matters even more entertaining, I had a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old, and a brand new advertising career. Wow. So I thought, man, I've got this going on. I came over and I'm visiting with one of my clients who owned a hotel in town, and she said, hey, would you like to come to the Rotary Club meeting? And I thought, well, I'm all about my career. It's a sales career. I want to succeed, right? I'm really ambitious. So I was thinking to myself, it was like the Chamber of Commerce on steroids. 28 years old, I want to make a lot of money. I'm thinking I can make a lot of advertising sales at this Rotary thing because it's probably like the Chamber of Commerce. So I went back to my friend who's the client and I said, well, that sounds pretty cool. When do you guys meet? Thursdays, 7 a.m. Okay, this is a problem for me. I've got a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old. It may or may not snow 3 feet overnight. A husband who's never home, and you want me to go to a Rotary Club meeting at 7 a.m.? I'm picturing my kids in their snowsuits, you know, like this, whatever those kids in that movie who can't move. And if you know anything about the military, specifically the U.S. military, because that's my background, that we're not part of a town. we're not locals, right? We're infiltrators, if you will. We're the people who suddenly show up and stick around for a couple of years and then disappear off somewhere else, right? Not really part of the town. So I went to that Rotary Club meeting, and I was really surprised. I was really, really surprised, because when I walked in the door, I was actually kind of shy, walked in the door, and everyone was really friendly. They didn't treat me like a military wife, and they didn't kick me out of the club when I went to the club social and my youngest daughter like projectile vomited on the dude next to me. That was very, very surprising. But that's not what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting a bunch of friendly people, and I came to know that this club, which was about 35 or 40 people in Watertown, New York, this club, well, it wasn't the Chamber of Commerce, because I made friends, real friends who I still talk to this day. So life happens, and I don't know, maybe Rotary was like the Chamber of Commerce, because all of a sudden I got a big promotion, and we're going off to Tallahassee, Florida. Now, I know you're Canadians, but if you don't know or recall, Tallahassee, Florida is where your vote counts twice. I was there, I know this. So I went Rotary Club shopping. My new boss had been in the downtown Tallahassee Rotary Club forever, you know, the one where they have 500 people, they have their own hired pianist, and it's all very, very fancy. And I thought, well, he said, you need to join Rotary. And I said, sure, no problem, now that I know what it is. So I went Rotary Club shopping. I visited his little hoity-toity huge club. I didn't like that club. I went down and I met with the folks at Denny's in their little club. They were super nice too on the south side. I went to another club, and I finally ended up at the Tallahassee North Side Club. They meet in a seafood restaurant, had about 70 members, so a little bit bigger, and they were a little more casual, but a bunch of business people. And I walked in the door, and guess what I found out? Brand new to town. With all these people that talk, me coming from New York, they talk very strange. They said things like, y'all. I'm fixing to go do that. And not with the accent I just used either. But I walked through the door, and what happened? They were so welcoming. I felt immediately at home. So I'm about 30, 31 at this point, and my sponsor in the club ended up being the district governor. So Jean pulls me aside with my friend Mayo. That is a true, honest-to-God Southern name, too, by the way. Mayo Woodward. And he pulls us to the side, and he says, you know, you're very experienced Rotarians. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? You're very experienced Rotarians. How about if you and Mayo, we'd like for you to start this new Rotary Club called New Generations. So if you've been in Rotary since the early 2000s, that's what they called the strange people like us who were below the age of 40. New Generations. So Mayo and I were, we were pretty social. We knew a lot of young professionals around Tallahassee. So we said, sure, we'd love to. And we put our heads together. We had no clue what we were doing. And we decided to invite all of our friends. And we decided that our Rotary Club was going to meet on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock in a bar. Perfect plan, perfect plan. Well, okay, so that's pretty neat. And then, you know what? My friends decided that I should be the president. Again, I was like, what do you think you're doing, people? What are you thinking? We didn't know anything. We did not know anything. All we knew is that you showed up on Tuesdays to the Rotary Club that met at the Silver Slipper. We had some cocktails, some appetizers. We didn't know what we had to pay dues. We had to take attendance. But we did know that we wanted to have fun. We knew that we wanted to have fun, and we knew that our fellow friends wanted to do projects. I think we built like 38 handicap wheelchair ramps in Tallahassee that year. It was like, I felt like it was the only thing that we did in that club was drink a lot of beer and build handicap ramps. We had a great time doing it. And you know what? It was really inspiring. Think about that word. It was really inspiring. It was inspiring to me to think that my sponsor would have enough faith in me to think that we could actually start a successful new Rotary Club. And it was also really inspiring that my friends thought that I could actually be some sort of a leader. And then on a side note, unfortunately, I became a single mom at that point, so don't judge, it was a restaurant and a bar. I took my daughters to every Rotary Club meeting. And to this day, they've both been Rotary Youth Exchange students. To this day, so what I did is I parked them over in the corner with their coloring books. They know the four-way test by heart still, but they will tell you, other than Rotary Youth Exchange, their fondest Rotary memory is eating their way down the appetizer table at the Rotary Club meeting. So that was really inspiring. So again, life happens, and off we went, this time to the Portsmouth, Virginia area. Anyone familiar with the Hampton Roads area? Okay, so that's Virginia Beach, and it's kind of this big conglomeration of 5 different communities, big, huge military area. And I think they have something like, 50 clubs in the whole area. I don't have time to go Rotary Club shop, and I just went and picked a couple and showed up. So when I walked in to the door, now Portsmouth, Virginia is nestled right up to the Naval Shipyard. So it's right there, very, very urban. So I walked in to the Portsmouth, Virginia Rotary Club, and wow, huge. Like 150 people. They met in a ballroom. They did have a pianist. It was really terrifying too, because they actually sang. I'm not a singer. No, I'm not a singer. But when I walked in the room, guess what happened? They were very welcoming. It was like instantly having friends. I felt like I had been in that club for such a long time when I had just walked in the door like a week before. So I read in the news this week, literally this week, I just saw it, that they did the 24th annual Paint Your Heart Out. Now, Paint Your Heart Out in Portsmouth, just to give you a little background, Paint Your Heart Out in Portsmouth is a program that they partner, the Rotary Club of Portsmouth partners with the city of Portsmouth because it's very urban, and quite frankly, it's not very pretty, and there's a lot of very, very bad areas in Portsmouth. So they partner up with the city council and the mayor, and they identify 10 different houses around Portsmouth that are on the verge of being condemned. But the other part of that is that the people who own those homes are people that are severely disabled that could never, ever fix their homes by themselves. So in true Michelle fashion, which seems to be everything that I've done in Rotary, when they said, we need a volunteer to be a house captain, who will do it? I raised my hand. I didn't know what I was getting into. So I found myself on a Saturday morning with the folks from the Naval Dental Clinic, and they were my team, and my daughters, they're about this high now, and we're standing in front of this house. All of this paints were delivered and stuff like that. In the span of 8 hours, we repainted the whole house, we fixed the roof, we re-landscaped all of the yard, and painted the garage. And we had a great time doing it. Never once during the day did I see the homeowner. So later at the end of the day, the mayor shows up with a big bunch of roses and knocks on the door. And the door opens, and there's no lights on inside. The door opens, and this very small elderly woman steps out. And behind her is her very, very tall adult son, who was clearly even more disabled than she was. And we're all standing there. And the mayor handed her the flowers, and she started crying. She started crying, and then she told the group, she said, thank you, because you saved our home. Now, at this point in time, I had a pretty high-powered career going. I was a single mother with 2 small children and a lot of stuff going on in my life, right? About 35 years old. 35 years old, lots of stuff happening in my life. But when I saw that woman, when I participated in that project with the Rotary Club of Portsmouth, that is when Rotary became relevant. Never again would Rotary not have a place at my table, and it was based on that experience. So it didn't matter that I had all of this stuff going on at my job. It didn't matter that I had all of this stuff going on with my daughters or anything else that was going on with my life. There was always a little slice of pie at my table for Rotary. Because as we all know, it's easy to say, oh gosh, I've got so much going on at work. Man, I don't need to go to the club meeting today. Or I'm so busy. right? That's like today's catchphrase. I'm so busy, I don't need to go to that. No, not for me. Not for me anymore. It resonated with me based on that experience. And I'll tell you what, I think young people are looking for that today. And I don't think it's just young people, I think it's all of us. Real world, non-virtual experiences. So obviously life happens to me a lot because all of a sudden I'm going to Ketchikan, Alaska. Oh, okay, we're going to Ketchikan. All right, the family's all for it. Off we go to Ketchikan, going up to Ketchikan, having a great time. And wow, got to the hotel where we were staying while we were waiting on our house, and I saw the Rotary wheel on the hotel. Rotary meets here, Thursday morning, 7 o'clock. So I went into the Rotary Club, and I just sat down. I mean, I didn't know the rules. I said, hi, I'm joining the Rotary Club. And they looked at me, they're like, who do you think you are? I just wanted to join the Rotary Club. You know why? Because when I walked in the door, the people were really nice. There was about 25, 35 people in the club. So I sat down and had a great time. And guess what? Made a lot of friends. Started having that great experience. Had so many experiences with Rotary in Alaska, right? Daughters on Youth Exchange, etc. About 1 or 2 years later, I said, hey, I think I'd like to be club president. And they all looked at me like I was nuts. So we had a great year. And then it was like a year later after that, I was looking on the website, and I thought, oh, what is this? I had a good time at Pets down in Seattle. Hey, maybe I can be an instructor. Let me just fill off this little form. Off it went. And they came back, and guess what they said? We'd love to have you. Great news. You've got a lot of experience in media. So, okay, this is great. I like this. Did that for a couple years, sitting at my computer, looking at the district website, and literally, I think I'd like to be district governor. I'll send that application off. And they said, well, great, you can be district governor. And that was really exciting. You know why it was exciting? It was exciting because, I'll tell you what, if I were still in Rotary in Tallahassee, if I were still in Rotary in Virginia, and perhaps in New York, I'm not sure, but definitely in Virginia and Tallahassee, those opportunities would not have existed. And that's what I love about our areas, Alaska and your area. You know why? Because it's not like, I'll just pick on you for a second. It's not like Christine had to be best buddies with Bobby Joe and Tommy and Sue, and she had to be a major donor and do all this stuff to become district governor. Lisa wasn't in District 5010, right? It wasn't about me wanting to do things because of the people that I knew or how much I gave to the foundation. It was about the talent. It was about the talent, what I could bring to the table, not the time in Rotary. Right? Doesn't that make sense? And that's what people are looking for in today's day and age. We can all Twitter away and go on Instagram and do all of this stuff because you know what? Those are what I would say the appetizers to this amazing menu that Rotary has to offer. This is how we get them in the door. And when they show up at our door, I truly believe it's our responsibility, each of us, no matter what you do in Rotary, it is our responsibility to provide that experience. Look around this room. Who in Rotary, in this room, and if they're not in this room, think to yourself, who surprised you? Who has truly inspired you, no matter how big or small? When did Rotary become relevant to you? And is Rotary still exciting to you? And if not, how can you make it exciting? We need to make Rotary exciting and welcoming and friendly for each and every person that walks through our door, whether it's a club meeting, or if they're out doing a project, or maybe it's a social. I heard through the grapevine that at the concert tomorrow night, there's going to be like 300 non-Rotarians there. That's a great opportunity for all of us to be really friendly, isn't it? So think about that. Maybe it isn't about your 200, 700, 2,000, or 5,000 Facebook friends. Maybe it isn't about all of the Instagram followers you have. Maybe It's about the real world experience that Rotary can offer. So I'm not so sure how I can pull up my famous picture here. Okay, who here knows Airbnb? Anyone know Airbnb? I love Airbnb. I used to have an Airbnb. I love it. Very, very interesting. Do you know what the most popular Airbnb in the world is? What would you think? Would it be like some palace over in Europe? Maybe some beachfront villa in Hawaii, or maybe some other exotic place? That, my friends, is the most popular Airbnb in the world. It is a mushroom-shaped dome cabin in California. It has had over 1,300 visitors. It was the first property outside of San Francisco that wasn't in the city limits for Airbnb. It is 100 square feet. And by the way, the owners in their write-up say, welcome to a cozy, comfortable, woodsy hubbub, where, by the way, you might hear an occasional chainsaw or two. Well, you know what? People love this because of the experience. Airbnb has roughly 14,000 properties around the world right now, right? Rotary has roughly 35,000 clubs. Think about your club like its own Airbnb, right? You don't have to be the most luxurious palace. You could be the most popular club, like the Mushroom Dome in California, because you offer that unique experience. And you let people know about the unique experience through your social media, and when they show up to your little tiny mushroom-shaped cabin in Canada, then treat them like they're expecting to be treated, and then your club can be the most popular as well. By the way, if you would like to book the Mushroom Dome cabin, you better hurry. They only have a few slots left until October. So thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I'll take this one.
Michelle, sorry. We have time for a couple of questions.
Sure.
If that would work. Any questions for Michelle, please?
Crickets chirping.
Yes.
When you were district governor, which year was that?
2016, 2017.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Neil and Laura are my classmates. Oh no, it's a heckler.
You don't want to.
Michelle, great presentation. Tell us, there's so much out there that's possible, social media. Where should we focus our energy and money?
That's an awesome question. What I would say, I'll use my own town, Ketchikan, Alaska, as an example. I know in my town, it is a Facebook town. No one uses Twitter, and people are just now getting into Instagram. But for many, many years when I first moved there, it was Facebook. So I would recommend figure out what people are using in your particular area. In the industry, we call it knowing your market, and then concentrate on one thing and do it well. And you need to be consistent. You must be consistent. I can't tell you how many various social media accounts I go to for clubs, even districts, and there are either not good pictures, or they're like, wow, we have a Facebook page, and no one has posted anything in the last 2 years. And you will literally lose credibility with many, many people based on that. If you're not going to be consistent, then you might as well just not do it. The same thing goes for photos. Be very, very careful with your photos. I know we have the People of Action campaign happening right now. Those should be something to kind of emulate. Get away from the podium speaking. I think it's good every now and then to have, the presentation of a check for a worthy project. But don't promote your speaker after they've shown up, and then, you get the certificate in front of the Rotary wheel. Hey, so-and-so spoke today. Why don't you get a cool photo of the person who's going to speak and put it up on your social media like 2 or 3 days ahead of your meeting? Come on, join us. This is who's speaking. And I'll be there all weekend, so I'm happy to answer any questions. It's really just, it's not too difficult, but my big caution to you is start with one thing and do it well. And don't rely on only one person either. And by the way, do not rely on that one individual, and we all know that they're out there, that loves to put those glittery puppy and kitty posts up on your Facebook page. That's not what Rotary's about.
Great.
And there's another, he's got another one.
Oh, one, yeah. Rick?
Thanks, Michelle. Awesome presentation. Question, or I heard at least 3 things that I would say could be characteristics of a vibrant club. One being welcoming the moment you enter the building, into the room. Another one would be relevancy, service relevancy, I think was your example. Do you have others that in your experience in Rotary are things that, I mean, it has to work for every club, but I'm just thinking about, is there some tips that you could offer for clubs that would move them into that realm?
Yes. Okay, so yes, absolutely. So I had the honor of going to Mexico City this past weekend they did the first ever Public Image Summit of the Americas. And I had a gentleman come up from the coast, the eastern coast of Mexico, and he is in an area where there are like the only 2 English-speaking clubs in the entire Mexican district down there. Anyway, long story short, he said, you know, I know you're really passionate about young people, but we have a lot of young people in our area, but they don't come to the Rotary Club. And we invite them, but they just don't want to show up. And I said, I'll tell you what we did in Ketchikan that worked like a charm and actually doubled our size of our club almost overnight. And it doesn't have to be limited to young people, which we certainly didn't, okay? So what we did is we went out in Ketchikan and we said, hey, we've got, and I'm sorry, you're just in the front row, you know, but we've got, what's your name?
Justine.
Justine, okay, hey Justine, our club has $500, and why don't you and your buddies come up with something that you guys would like to do in Ketchikan? Whatever you want to do, whatever kind of cool project, get your friends together. And then these people would go out and they would gather somewhere between 5 and 10 friends. It seemed like it was more like 7 or 8. And they did their project. Now the deal was Rotarians could also go and help with the project because it set up that casual kind of social conversations while they were doing the project. And then we had a social where everyone was invited as well. And then what we found happen is we moved the entire group, almost a club within a club. We moved the entire group. We invited them to our club, and they became like a little club within a club, and it made them feel more comfortable. You know why? Because it wasn't that single person walking in a room of a bunch of strange people. They were coming in as already a group of friends, and they'd all sit at the same table, but then they got to know people, and guess what? They're still in Rotary because they walked in the door and they immediately had a good time. Is that something that you were looking for?